everybody. A warm welcome to all of you. There cannot be a better day to do this. The joint statement on India-US trade deal is out. And the Commerce Minister has just addressed a press conference saying that this is the time to celebrate. But the opposition is saying that this is also the time to be cautious. Praveen, let me start with you. I was listening to Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister, and he had this whole itemized list, and he says that this is the time to celebrate, and we have not done anything that will put the Indian farmer at a disadvantage. Then why is the Congress Party opposing this?
Good afternoon. First, let me start by saying that any trade deal is a good thing for India's economy. India needs more trade, India needs free trade, and if anything, over the last decade, we saw a bout of protectionism in Modinomics. So I'm glad that there has been a U-turn on that front. Now, I have not seen the press conference that you're referring to because it just happened, but from what I have read about the details of the deal, what is unclear are a certain details of the deal. Now, let me just give you one example. One of the details of the deal is that India is committed to buy $500 billion worth of American goods over the next 5 years. 500 billion over 5 years. So roughly 100 billion a year. Today, we buy 40 billion from America. How is it going to double or triple? What are we going to buy extra? How is this commitment made? Are we going to shift our purchases from some other country to this? And most importantly, if we have committed to buy $500 billion worth of, what have they committed to buy from us? Okay. Where is the commitment from their side? So any trade deal is good. It's good as long as it's mutually beneficial, what they say in corporate jargon, a win-win situation. Yeah. And we're not sure that this is yet a win-win for both India and America. But
Mr. Chakravarty, at least this could be a diplomatic win, right? The fissures that we saw with the US, the most powerful country in the world, are finally settling in.
See, I can't comment on a diplomatic win because I'm not a diplomat, I'm an economist by training. I'm only asking, like I said, I started by saying a trade deal is a good thing. We welcome trade deals. We want greater trade. We want more exports. But what is it that we are doing here? We need greater transparency. We need more details. And this is too serious a subject for us to just go by headlines. We actually have to delve into the details. And as they say, the devil is in the details. So what, for example, what are we doing with Russian oil? Are we not going to buy Russian oil? If that's the case, are we going to get it at the same price as cheap Russian oil? Because I remember the oil minister, Hardeep Puri, back then had made such a bombastic claim about how it is in nation's interest to buy Russian oil. Now, what happened to that?
Mr. Rao, the fact that, we might lose the trade surplus that we have with US, that seems to be a concern.
Good afternoon to you and Praveen and all the attendees. We are looking at a $30 trillion export opportunity. The deal has taken this far, even to come to this stage, because India and under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, we stood our ground. Had we so-called yielded to pressure, a deal would have happened long ago. India has finally agreed to this deal based on our terms, based on protecting our interests of our farmers, our MSME sector. These are paramount. And this happens after we have signed several other bilateral trade agreements, including the trade agreement with the European Union. So all that has actually resulted in we getting a very positive deal with the US. And had this not taken this long, had India not prevailed over the US, it could have happened a long time ago. Certainly it's a deal in Indian interest. It's a deal that will help us realize our goals of Viksit Bharat. It's a deal that will help us this trilogy that the finance minister mentioned in the budget, where we are looking at impetus to growth as one of the three major pillars of our economic policy. So certainly it's a great deal. and its deal protects our interests and also boosts our growth. I think Indian exporters have a lot of good news to cheer about today's development.
Mr. Chakravarty, two questions. This non-tariff barriers is being talked about, because it will bring down delays and compliance. And of course, the fact that, the deal is finally done, So what about the non-tariff barriers and the fact that the government is very clear that interests have been shielded? Do you think that those are positives?
See, as far as the non-tariff barriers are concerned, specifically around quality control orders in the textile sector, I think the finance minister announced it in the budget, the chief economic advisor had it in his economic survey, and that's a good thing. The abolition, because I've held that the imposition of non-tariff barriers was wrong in the first place. So now if they have learned from that and then removed it, it's a good thing. We keep going back to protection of farmers, and this is in the India's interest. I would like to believe that. I want to believe that. I want to believe that this is good for us, good for the country. Where are the details?
Okay. Where are the details, sir? The details came out only today because till yesterday it seemed like a tale of tweets, right? Because there were many tweets. But finally we do have a paper now. Why did we not get the details? Because the parliament wasn't running?
No, I think a lot of finer details have to be worked out. It's a question of you have a strong negotiation. You don't really sign on a deal prepared by somebody else. Every point has to be agreed upon. What we have is a framework, and this is certainly a final agreement is on the cards. Actually, Piyush Goyal ji wanted to make a statement on this in Lok Sabha. And you know how the parliament was not functioning. There was a stalemate over the last 5 days. So therefore a press conference had to be held. Opposition could make an issue out of it why a statement has been not made on the floor of House. I hope at least sense will prevail. Opposition will allow the House to run on Monday when it convenes for the next week. And certainly there can be a statement from the minister. We will have a budget discussion next week. Union budget discussion. We've just concluded the motion of thanks to the President address. So in that budget discussion, I think the opposition members, if they are wise, they will have all the occasion to really
they're saying that
comment.
If you let the LOP speak, then the parliament will function and, the minister can speak about it.
No, LOP was repeatedly urged to speak. I think he was hell-bent on only creating chaos. I think he was not so much interested in giving a speech. The entire opposition lost an opportunity. One, it's quite unfortunate that the Honorable President's address, I think opposition did not speak on this, did not thank the President, which is customary, which is a parliamentary convention. And on the other, they have not used the opportunity to put their points across. The entire debate cannot veer around one point. Rahul Gandhi wanted to just press one point. He had made that point. He could have used the opportunity. He could have used the time. The opposition could have used the time to discuss on a plethora of issues. It's very unfortunate. I think we have a I would say, a bad opposition that is hell-bent on taking its graph further down and down after each session. They don't seem to learn. I will not say we are happy about it. We are sad about the the death of parliamentary democracy, but we are happy about the non-functioning opposition.
Mr. Chakravarty, the Prime Minister spoke for 97 minutes. That was also with disruptions. And BJP feels that it is because of the opposition that the details of the trade deal could not come out, specifically in the floor of the House.
The last time I checked, India won independence in 1947, which meant we have the freedom. And we presumably have a freedom of speech in this country. The leader of the opposition wanted to quote a written text by the former army chief. What in this country prevents that? What in this country prevents anybody, let alone the leader of the opposition, to quote what was factually written by no one less than the former army chief? I think all of us agree we need that freedom of speech, don't we? Why was it prevented? What is the fear? What are they running away from? What has he said? So are we trying to say that an entire deal with America which is one of our largest trade partners, and the details of that deal, which is important for the youth of this country, for the future of this country, could not be discussed because the BJP had a problem with 2 lines with what the former army chief wrote. This is laughable.
Okay.
I think when we talk about freedom of speech, we also need to understand how Parliament functions. Parliament functions according to conventions. Parliament functions according to rules it has framed for itself. And when you are speaking on a debate with you, I cannot talk about something which is not relevant to this topic. You will not allow me to speak if I start talking about something that has happened.
That's an important point.
So
it's also about being sometimes politically intuitive, right? When the country wants to talk about something, why is the leader of opposition talking about something else?
You are not a judge of that. Like, that's what I said. I think all of you are mistaking freedom of speech. This was about the nation's security. This was at Parliament. This was in response to the President's address. And this was by no one less than the leader of the opposition. And all he wanted to do was quote 2 lines.
Okay.
Facts of what was... So I still don't understand what the issue is. So what are they running away from? Right? But I know this is not the forum
that's
to
a
continue to
convention.
discuss.
You see, freedom of speech does not mean that I stand up and talk on a subject that I like before the speaker. He will expunge my remarks. If I have been a member of parliament, if I am speaking on a topic, I have to stick to it. Otherwise, there are warnings from the chair. And if you continue saying it, you could actually be forced to stop your conversation, your speech. Your views can be completely expunged. Freedom of speech does not mean I will do whatever I feel like.
Okay, we're just hoping that from Monday we could possibly have a discussion on that. But Mr. Rao, the one criticism that the opposition always cites is that while growth is on track, inflation is being regulated, the gains of this growth is not being it's not really going to people as such in the way it should, because, we do see that salaries are not increasing. There's also concern around, essentials becoming unaffordable. Do you think that the government has a plan when it comes to, making life easier for common people?
It's already easier. So I don't think where you get your perceptions from, because facts you mentioned, inflation is at one of the lowest levels, highly manageable level. And how does it not help the common man when the inflation is low? Does it not help the salaried class when the growth, when we are the fastest growing large economy in the world? Yesterday RBI said they have further improved our estimates for this year at 7.3% growth rate. Does it not help? It has helped. And among the 3 pillars that Finance Minister, I repeat, I go back to the speech. Among the 3 pillars, she talked about growth, she talked about inclusivity. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is nothing but inclusive concept. There is everything in this budget regarding farmers, the youth, women. Every section is benefiting from this growth. And that's why after a long time, there is a sense of happiness. When the GST rates were cut down 6 months ago, 4 months ago, did it not benefit every segment of every section of the society? GST is paid by everybody. The rich man, the poor man, everyone pays GST, and they have been given a huge relief. We have rather surrendered 1.3 lakh crores in GST revenue in this financial year alone. That which means actually in a matter of few months, we have foregone 1.3 lakh crore, because that's directly money in the pockets of the people. Similarly, we have foregone almost 1.25 lakh crore in personal income tax income last year. It's only because we have raised the income tax slab to 12 lakh rupees. So government has kept the common man, the salary class in its mind, the poorer sections in mind. 25 crore people have come out of extreme poverty. This is World Bank statistics. So does it not benefit people? So certainly every section of the society has benefited, and that is our growth strategy going forward.
Mr. Chakravarty, how would you respond to that? The fact that macroeconomic fundamentals are on track, what are your large concerns?
See, I think first we must all agree as a country to stop talking about headline GDP growth. It matters almost nothing to the average armed army. There is a very clear divorce between headline GDP and incomes and prices for the common person. And it's not just in India, throughout the world. Number 2, simple question. If everything was so good, why are 80 crore people dependent on the government for food? Still, 80 crore Indians depend for food on the government. They should be able to afford their own. So I don't think it is a secret that there are no jobs, not enough jobs in the country. I don't think it's a secret that incomes are growing as fast as prices. I don't think it's a secret that inequality is rising. So when we say there's a divorce between headline GDP, what do we mean? The benefits of headline GDP growth are accruing to a very small section of people. Now I'll give you one statistic, just one, because a lot of people hear from the markets, equity capital markets. You know, there's a lot of talk about how there's been a huge amount of domestic retail money that's come into the equity markets in the last 10 years. I'm quoting SEBI's own report. SEBI came out with an investor survey report of 2025 just 2 weeks ago. 3.7 crore households, only 3.7 crore families have investments in the stock markets, according to SEBI's 2025, less than 10%. You know, the same SEBI report in 2015, what it said? How many households were invested in the stock market? 3.3 crore. What does that tell you? There's actually been no growth in the number of families that invest. Very little growth in the number of families that have the incomes and the affordability to participate in stock markets. But what did we see? The amount of money has gone up 10 times, which means the same people got a lot more money that invested. It's just one statistic to tell you about the inequality. So I think we should stop crowing about headline GDP growth, fastest growing economy, and all of these things, because these things don't matter anymore.
Right.
I talked about poverty. Poverty is not poverty of the rich. Poverty obviously is something that relates to the underprivileged sections of the country. When so many crore people have risen above poverty line, if that is an international finding, not a finding given by a government agency, you have to believe this growth is happening with equity, with access to resources for every section of the society. Secondly, when we reduce GDP, I am repeating myself, does GDP, the GST, lowering of GST, does it not benefit every section? The problem is the Congress party tends to believe some odd statements that India's economy is down in the Trump or down in the dump or whatever. So whereas the whole world considers India as the bright spot in the economy.
Mr. Chakravarty, are you being overly critical? Because you know,
from fragile 5 in 2014, today we are fourth largest economy in the world. Has it happened only through headline GDP numbers or some kind of fictional numbers? This is the world accepting India as a rising superpower. We are fourth largest. We will be third largest. You left us at one of the 5 weakest economies. Today we are the fourth strongest economy.
So that tells you a criticism against the Congress party by the ruling party that, you know, when you call us a dead economy, you're also sort of like, you know, diluting the confidence of investors, and also the fact that you don't recognize the merits in whatever reform the government has attempted to do.
First, my friend GVL said India's economy is down in the Trump. I hope it's a Freudian slip. No, I'm just kidding. You're not blaming Trump for our ills, are we? No. See, when it comes to, confidence in investors, I think we as a nation are confident enough to face the truth and facts. We don't need to fool ourselves. We don't need to fool ourselves by saying everything is hunky-dory when it is not. Or we don't need to fool ourselves by saying everything is bad when it is actually good. Okay? So if someone says it's a dead economy based on whatever, that doesn't dent confidence. I mean, are we that meek? Are we that fragile? We're not. Every business can make their own decisions regardless of what the others say, right? And we're confident as a country, as a nation.
It's Rahul Gandhi saying it, right?
That's
so
fine.
The leader of opposition saying.
I'm not saying I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm responding to your point about it dents the confidence. Why should it dent the confidence?
But why
If it's dead, it's dead. If it's not dead, if it's alive, it's alive. That's a debate. You can debate that. Okay? So it doesn't need to dent. I mean, let's not hide behind these nationalistic kind of sentiments of, oh, you can't say anything negative and we're not that weak as a country. We're very, very strong. We can face the truth.
But talking about states, do you think that there is a general concern about the fiscal status of many states, because every state, be it opposition ruled or BJP ruled, there is a sense that there is a lot that's being spent on welfare. You spoke about Tamil Nadu. There's also Bengal. Both of these states are going to polls. Is that a serious concern, the debt that states are in?
I think, and this is a matter of serious discussion, so I don't want to politicize any of these things. On that front, I think as far as our macro and fiscal situation is concerned, first thing, I think 2026 budget will go down in the history of Indian budgets as the first time where we start looking at union and states combined from a fiscal point of view. So it's not enough to just focus on union budget, but it's important to focus on states budget. So it's a very important point that you bring up. Why do I say that? All states combined spend more than the union government today. 40% of union government's revenue, 40% of India's tax revenues come from GST. GST is not decided by the union finance minister on the union budget. It's not decided by one state alone. It's decided by the GST council. Debt. The union government, the finance minister said, we are now going to move to debt to GDP as a metric. Yeah. The union government's debt to GDP is 56%. She's promised to bring it down to 55% next year and go down to 50% in 5 years. It's laudable. It must be appreciated. But the concern is this. What's happening to states? All states combined, their debt is half of the union government's debt. All states combined, their debt to GDP has actually gone up from 22% to 28%, and it's only rising further. So when international ratings agencies, foreign investors look at India and India's debt to GDP, they don't look at only the union government's debt to GDP. They look at India's debt to GDP. Okay. And that is a serious concern. So you're right that if you take states like, say, since you mentioned Tamil Nadu and Punjab and Haryana, their debt levels have gone up 10 times in the last 15 years. And that is a little worrying.
Okay. Sir, let me ask a question on the trade deal, because that's the news point.
Let me first respond
finish it and then tell me, when can we expect more clarity and how confident and optimistic are we about the ramifications of it?
No, regarding the debt to GDP ratio, we have among the countries, large economies, we have one of the lowest debt to GDP ratios. Compared to Japan, Japan is the highest, then US, then many other countries. So we are certainly at 55% also. That's a very good metric when you compare it against other large economies of the world. Number two, among the states which are bad performers, I think I have to say this, they are all opposition ruled states. Mostly Tamil Nadu, we have never been in power in Tamil Nadu. Right. West Bengal, much more than 30%. Punjab, one of the worst performers. There are many other states, smaller states, but they have other geographic and other economic considerations. But the worst performers are opposition-ruled states. So certainly going forward, if Praveen agrees, I think people of these states, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, they all must vote for a change of government. They must vote for NDA, because NDA means Modi-led governance, Modi-ji-led governance means better economics, better management of the economy.
Like I said, I was going to keep politics out, but it's been dragged in. Haryana and Maharashtra are actually some of the worst states in terms of
not
debt.
Maharashtra. Maharashtra has a very large GDP.
Okay, so the battle lines are drawn. Let's now wait for the ministers to come and speak more on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.